Welcome back to the Piece of Grit podcast. I am here with the man, the myth, the legend, Blake Doyle. What's going on, dude?
Good, man.
We're literally just
We've been talking for fucking... Sorry, can I swear on this one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's like my one. That's good. Yeah, we've been talking for like 20 minutes. Sorry, guys.
Exactly.
You missed out on boring conversation.
What we were talking about is you have doubled down on your... Honestly, what sparked the reason I wanted you on the pod is because your content is so funny and so good right now.
Thanks, man.
And it's obviously we're in the same space. We do similar things from a professional sense, but I just saw the way that you were creating and I was like, I got to tap into like what's going on up here and what inspired that. But
if you can figure that out, let me know.
Yeah.
I'm fucked.
When did it start? What was the catalyst of it? And like, why doubled? You had the channel already.
Yeah, we had a channel way back. My wife and I started it. So we're in a rare situation where my wife and I have video footage and a vlog on the first day we ever met. So, you know, the origin for that channel was I watched an interview with Austin McBroom from the Ace Family on Impulsive. And he was talking about family channels and how much, you know, money he makes and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, crap. I mean, he turned out to be a piece of shit, but I didn't take that out of the book. But, you know, that's what when we started doing vlogging and that way back in the start of 2019. This was before YouTube Shorts, before any of that. And so we're busting out like 2-3 videos a week, long form. And that's what got me into it. I've been into videos since I was young. Like I used to film ads for my clothing brand Ain't Hot when I was 19 back in 2008, before like when YouTube was just starting.
That's insane.
But then took a hiatus to try and get laid, you know, like every 20-year-old. So, but yeah, no. So that's what started the YouTube channel with my wife and I, and it was really fun. But I was putting so many hours into it, and long form, especially when you're trying to do the SEO game, unless you're in like a topic, like with one of my clients, T Clinics USA, unless you're searchable, no one really cares. And something like vlogs is tricky, and that's why you tap into like, you know, my morning routine, shitty videos like that. So fast forward, we did that for about 2 years, and I was like, all right, I got to throw this away because I'm like, I need to make money because, you know, I have a family that's about to begin. And we probably had like 150 subscribers at that point. Hiatus for about 1.5 years, posted videos here and there, and would crack 1 million on YouTube Shorts, probably every 3 videos. But I'd post a video so far, few and far between, that it was like cool, but I don't know, it felt weird. So then doubling back on YouTube now in the last 3 months, the reason I started doing it was I love creating content, but it's a hard thing that people don't realize how hard it is to be in front of camera, how to speak, how to tell a story that people give a shit about as well. That I was just like, all right, I got my current clients, loving them bits. They're the bomb. Let's not try and find more people at the moment and see if I can double down on, now that YouTube Shorts is popping off, because there's a fear of TikTok getting banned. There's a lot of people that are moving over from that to YouTube. So YouTube's having a boom. Plus, YouTube actually pays you once you're half decent.
Yeah.
I think I get paid like $160 per million views.
That's insane.
So, you know, you're getting 10 million views a month. That's 1,600. But everyone looks at just that and they're like, oh, that's bullshit. It's not enough money. I'm getting paid $1,600 a month to market myself to 10 million eyeballs.
Is that content or content style dependent? So if you are a shorts creator and you're in the financial, financial is like known to be one of the highest paying from an AdSense perspective.
It comes down to who's paying for the ads. So a friend of mine who gets, you know, 100 million views a month, her RPM, which is revenue per 1,000, is like 10 cents. Her average age is a lot younger. So the ads that get pushed to her audience is less competitive because they don't convert as much because, you know, 14, 15-year-olds are not going to buy.
Exactly.
Whereas my audience is typically more around mid-20s to mid-30s. Sometimes some videos go viral and the old people start watching it. They're, by the way, the most hateful people.
They really are.
They
also have the most time.
They also like to judge more. Like when people bitch about this new generation is a bunch of snowflakes, go viral with a bunch of 60-year-olds and watch how much hate you get. So much. I had a 60-year-old man go from our YouTube to find where my wife's Instagram was, to message her to give her advice on a skit we did about a homeless man that we found in our backyard.
That was a funny video.
That one got 4.5 million views or something like that. So much hate, so much advice. People not realizing, like, dude, anyone with half a brain can see this is fake. I had one of my best friends message me when I posted on Instagram, and he was like, dude, is this real? Man, you're such a good guy. I'm like, how the fuck do you think that's real? What, we noticed there was a homeless guy in our backyard, and I quickly set up 5 camera angles? What the? Anyways, and I started hosing a black man in my backyard. Like, that's real, you fucking idiot. Yeah. I love you, Bernard. But so anyway, so that guy went all the way, like this 60-year-old guy went all the way to abuse her and give her life advice on her Instagram. You don't tell me that it's just, 20-year-olds who are snowflakes now.
It's that. Obviously, we saw the other side of it. Jace started documenting his journey when he got cancer. His entire audience, now it's a little bit younger, but like his massive virality and his massive engagement came from 40 to 70 women. And it was like, the type of engagement, the depth of comment. So when you're thinking of somebody writing 2-3 paragraph comment on somebody's page, imagine the watch time in the background when all that's happening. So it's interesting because a lot of people want to appeal to that younger demographic. I think we're getting to the phase of social media where it is kind of much more broad than even people want to recognize. Like, I think most of the watchers are that post-retired or like that age where like you can't spend 12 hours watching content all day.
Yeah. I always wondered though, how likely are they to purchase though? So that's the thing is interesting to me for social media. And
QVC.
yeah, like, I mean, if you're marketing dentures, is probably a real good audience. But if I'm fascinated at people like Logan Paul, KSI, Sidemen. We were talking about earlier, like there's more power in creating a friend group. It's fucking hard, by the way, to create a friend group that people want to be friends. Like they want to be in that group. And the more that you have this 3D environment that people wish they were in it, they're going to watch more of it. I don't think 60-year-olds are going to be like that. They're more like going to be bitter or empathetic, but I don't know if they would keep coming back. And Jace's story is amazing. I always found it weird though, and this is just my thing. I can't watch someone go through that because I feel like there's also a horrific side of humans that are watching to see if he dies.
So that
I did not like that.
Why do people watch Sam Sulek?
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I mean, you had Ryan McGinn on your podcast and he said that the Logan Paul Japan video, who's to blame? The one that filmed it or everyone who watched it? And everyone that kept watching it, everyone that shared it to show other people. And that's the stuff like Jace's, I'm so glad he came through the other end, right? He's all good now.
Yeah. He's in a final stage, but he's beating the shit out of it.
It's so rough where, and you call people out on this, I'm like, you're waiting to see if he lives or dies, right? No, I want to be inspired. Really? Like,
yeah.
I think it's fucking props to him for putting that out there.
It's a gripping storyline. And that's what I told him.
And those high stakes.
What I recognized, and it was honestly a Mr. Beast video that gave me the context to it. We went to an event in Atlanta for Lee Hate's boxing event. One of the coolest things I'd ever watched, like myself. And I remember, we were trying to create a doc around it, and obviously the doc would have been awesome. Like it was the coolest thing that our team had ever like created. he ended up losing, which sucks. But I remember walking away from that and I was like, if it was the other way, that just because the stakes, like everybody in the room was so electric and so hanging on by a thread with every minute that went by in that fight. I was like, that's what viral content is.
So why didn't you bring out the documentary?
It's a long story, but he ended up not wanting to air it.
Has he not seen Rocky? Bro, one of the biggest fucking stories is a man who loses his fight.
Yeah, I know. It was, we're sitting on the content. It was so, we ended up putting out a smaller version of it, like a little bit later, but it was the coolest thing I'd watched. But it goes back to what you were saying, which is the storyline, the captivation of the storyline. I think more and more and more that you have to continue to raise the stakes. And that's where we're seeing people like Jace who put that content out there. Like, you do have the empathetic people that are like, he's so strong and he's so whatever. But like that initial virality, when it was so uncertain and when they weren't sure whether, like, we didn't know. As his best friend, I didn't know what the outcome of everything was going to be. You could see people hanging on by a thread just to get that little update, which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, you need stakes. And I think that's one thing. You know what? Social media is a weird one. Video, I hate the word social media because it's so blown out now. Video is interesting. There needs to be a bit of conflict, but not... People take conflict as like problems. I mean, even reaction videos have conflict in them. You know, like you just reacting, but then making a funny reaction. It's like, there's conflict in that because you're taking the piss out of that person that made that video. Like that person that gets broken up by their husband and quickly sets up a camera to film themselves crying. It's like, shut up, you fat bitch. Like, we're not feeling sorry for you. You know, everyone's thinking that.
Yeah, it's
you know, but it's like there's that conflict, and that's what makes people look at it because we are conflict-driven species. And that's one thing with like the current universe I'm trying to build with Blake Draco is I've always, like in a lot of videos, I've got my wife yelling at me going, what are you doing? While I'm drilling a hole in a freaking toilet or
creating a slushy,
doing something stupid. And she's like, why are you making me out like a bitch? And I'm like, one, if you walked home and your husband was drilling a hole in the toilet, your natural reaction is not going to be like, cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, what are you doing? Like literally what she said.
Yeah.
And I go, but also you need that conflict between us to make people give a shit. If it's just me drilling a hole, there's no stakes. And so all the videos are, you know, they're fabricated to a degree. There's some that we do that are real, but also there's some that are fake, you know, like, because I'm not interested in documenting life. I'm interested in creating an entertaining universe. But what I've noticed is that like with that homeless guy in my backyard video, people either cannot tell what's real or fake anymore. And I thought like
lines are blurred.
Well, again, that video like where there's Sway in the backyard hosing himself off, wearing a beanie in summer in Florida. Not that anyone knows that, but and then there's it cuts to 4 different camera angles. Then somehow when I go outside, automatically a cameraman is out there filming us where I haven't seen a cameraman before, but simultaneously there's a cameraman filming my wife indoors, and people still are either going, it's fake, no shit.
Yeah.
Or they're going,
that's fucked up.
Like, I will open up right now. I guarantee you there's a comment saying how much of a cunt my wife is about this. I guarantee. Here we go. The woman loves a police state and her husband loves a state of amazing grace. The people are responsible for their government and not the opposite. What the fuck?
What does that even mean?
Well, first of all, I mean, you can tell this person's an idiot. Good old Zentai Omar, shout out. But there's countless comments like that about how much of a Karen she is, how great and kind I am. I'm like, I host a black man in my backyard. What are you talking about? What?
Yeah.
But I've realized if you look at all the content that's popular now, it's fake. Like Two-Tone Tony's an example. His is created, but it's like an elevated, constructed thing that is probably his real life, just elevated. That's what people want to see. And I think as well, people are wanting to feel like they're peeking into something now. Talking heads are on the way out. I'm tired. I see them. I fucking swipe. I'm like, but if you film someone, some of our viral videos, like for one of our clients who does flooring, the videos that are getting 1 million views plus on TikTok, it's the same as those question clips, except I'm standing there with my back to the camera talking to the guy. And those videos get 1 million views. Back to the one rule that they say don't do, a face breaks the scroll. It's not anymore because everyone does it.
Yeah.
That if my back is to the camera talking to someone else, we're both mic'd up. But I'm asking him questions that I would have done like this normally.
Yeah.
And they're getting 1 million views. And we noticed that like with one of my a boat client where I mic him up, a DJI mic, boom, straight in my phone. And I'm just like filming like this at a boat show from a distance. And I just film everything on my iPhone. So obviously, I mean, if they're far away, I just zoom in. They wouldn't even know because I just lean on another boat and just film like that. Picks everything up perfectly. The quality's shit, but everyone wants that now. And he's giving advice. So he's not even thinking about talking, but he's giving advice about boats. People are like, oh, I'm listening into this. And they get views.
I'm interested to get your perspective on this. I see a world where cameras are becoming smaller and smaller. We're kind of, they're, you know, whatever conspiracy you want to believe in, I feel like they're just conditioning us to just be okay with something like this always on and making sure that we're just, everything is eventually going to always be recorded. Where do you see the trajectory of that from a content side?
I think reality is showing us that it's showing us that reality is way more entertaining than we thought. Like the best content on the internet right now is Ring cameras. And to the point where people are faking Ring cameras. Again, that video where I had my CCTV footage of the guy like getting in my backyard. I'm standing on a ladder on 0.5 on my phone and then just put a fucking security camera filter on it and people are like,
that's cool.
It's real. It's like, really cool. No, it's not. So I think that is it. But in order for you to like, you can go viral tricking an audience to thinking it's real, but I don't think you get an audience tricking them that it's real. Because,
but what's your example for, like, what would be your response to like a Jack Doherty?
Jack Doherty, I mean, look, people watch him because they hate him, I think. So that's not a good audience.
Yeah.
I mean, like there's creators out there, and I'm like, you've seen their videos. They'll have videos that you're watching a little bit of like an argument on a plane, and then like a minute in, you're like, wait, these are just shitty actors. They're doing a thing like, you know, like a woman fucking getting angry because a black guy's sitting next to her, and then they're like, some lady comes in going, "Excuse me, sir." You're like, oh shit, and then like someone's behind the seat filming it perfectly, and then there's someone in the corner going, and I'm like, fake,
yeah,
straight away.
But do you have a trained eye to that, or like I feel like most people are dumb?
Yeah, but yes and no. I mean, look, there's a lot of idiots out there for sure, but again, those idiots don't go, I like these people. Your goal with creating content is you want people to like you eventually. Some are going to hate you. You're not going to make everyone like you. But you need a core audience that if you're like, hey, I buy this shit, they go, well, fuck, me too. And I think if you're trying to trick the audience to go viral, I've had a creator say this recently, and they're very successful in brand deals, but I don't see a core audience other than people wanting to be viral like them. And they are like, if you've ever seen a video and you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, you got me. That's probably my video. And I go, that's not a good reaction, because you don't go, you got me. You go,
I'm gonna buy from
fuck you. Yeah, you tried to trick me. Like the audience wants to be in on the joke, not the joke. And the second that you try and make them the joke and you're like, hey, I got you, they go, yeah, fuck you, dude. Whereas if you're trolling someone and the person on the camera is being trolled, like Nico is a great example. Him going and he trolls people all the time, but the audience is in on the joke. And guess what? When we're in on the joke, I like you more because I'm in on this. We're the same team. And I think that's where some people are focusing on the numbers versus the quality. And it's like finding that balance because you want the audience to be in on the joke. Some are not going to be. Like I said, people are commenting going, your wife's a bitch. And I'm like, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be my audience. But then there's other people that are like DMing me or commenting on this is fucking hilarious. They're the ones I care about. But if your goal is purely just to be, I'm going to trick you, you're actually pissing off the audience.
There's also this like old school moniker in our world where it's like you gotta piss off your audience, like that, or anger is the easiest emotion to incite in another human being. So when you're creating viral content, what's the easiest way to go viral? Will make people angry at the end of the day. But I always like to say that's level 1. And if you stay in level 1, you're not going to build a brand that people really care about. And isn't, we'll get into it later, but like the creator career is like a very interesting and very like non-linear type of space because you could have a fucking 200K month 1 month and then literally zero the next month depending on the situation. But back to what we're saying, it's like taking people on a journey of a multitude of different emotions with the hardest one, which is why I respect the content that you're creating because you're going for the hardest subset, which is comedy. Like making somebody legit
well, you can't fake
laugh.
it. It's the one thing you can't fake. You can tell, and you can regurgitate an interesting story. You can fake, I really care about the turtles. You can, like, everything can be faked except for laughter because people either laugh or they don't. And nothing worse than a sympathy laugh. Like,
yeah.
And that's usually what I do is like the Nutcracker Nutsucker video that went viral, which surprisingly a lot more love than I expected, except for Instagram. They tried to take it down at 5 million for hate speech. And I was just like, because I'm making, why is a Nutcracker gay? Like I've never wondered if the Nutcracker licks a dick or a vagina. Like that's never been a thing that crossed my mind.
That's awesome.
But then I walk in and I'm like, but again, like outrage, like you said, there's 2 ways I could have gone with that video. And it's, look how stupid this is. Being a fucking Keith. That's the male version of a Karen.
Yeah.
But I just went, I'm fucking dad joke. Like Nutcracker, Nutsucker. Video ended. 5 million views, pops up. Hey, we've taken down your video for hate speech. Screenshot. Now they've got a review, which is good. So I hit review and I shared to my story. I'm like, I've seen 10 posts calling for the death of Jews in the last 24 hours. But this is hate speech, me just saying that this thing sucks a dick. It's just a joke.
Yeah.
15 million, same thing. They try to take it down. And I had gay people commenting going, I'm gay. This is funny. Get the fuck over it.
Yeah.
Then I had also the right-wing people going, this is why I don't shop at Target. I'm like, just buy the Nutcracker. You don't have to buy the Nutsucker. Like, what are you talking about? Like, Target has great clothes.
They have that. That is crazy that they have that.
Yeah. Like I had, Target apparently had their first loss over Christmas because of that. But digress. Politics aside. But the comedy thing, the reason why I posted that, because that wasn't meant to be a story. Because it's you can tell it's like shitty quality. It's my Instagram camera and I camera flip it. It's literally a one take. I showed my wife and she did the implode laugh, which is the best laugh you can ever get, which is because she doesn't want to laugh at my jokes. But if I can make her laugh, I'm like, all right, it's funny. Because half the time my wife goes, huh? Or she's just like, well, that's a bit offensive. And so if I can make her laugh, she's like, oh, sweet, post it.
Yeah.
But it's I think one thing with comedy that is fun, and I get this all the time, but people will go, oh, I could never post what you post. I'm like, yeah, you could. You just think those comments are like, I haven't had a single person come up to me with all my black jokes that I'm doing with Sway. Not one person is like, you're racist. I had a racist fence gag where I zap myself, he touches it and electrocutes him. Like, it's a racist fence. It's so fucking stupid. But the fun part about comedy is like, you've just got to figure out how to juggle that. And that's the like hard part, meaning like, all right, where's the race with that racist and racial line? Because there's that line, and like I'm always going to sway. I'm like, hey, where's this on the line? He's like, we're good.
But that's what comedy allows, right? Comedy gives you the card in a lot of cases to do something in the name of comedy. And
kind of, but not really.
I feel like that's
I could make a racist joke, and that shit gonna get taken down real quick. But if it's
you
racial,
have to have it. Explain the difference.
So racist implies hate or negativity in a damaging way towards a certain ethnic or skin color.
Yeah.
That's racism. Racial is, I am white. If I go in the sun, I'll get sunburned. But,
I see what you're saying.
My black friend loves grape soda. Like, that's racial. I don't mean hate towards him. He genuinely likes grape soda.
Mm-hmm.
It's just funny that there coincidentally is a massive, what is it? Cliche about that.
Okay, gotcha.
So, what, like our white person hiking versus black people hiking video. The obvious joke is there's it's white people shit. Hiking outdoors is white people shit.
Definitely is.
So the setup you're expecting is it's going to get to the black people hiking after me going, hey, as a white person, and there's going to be no white people, no black people. And it's like, all right, cool. That's obvious. Well, what would happen if a white person actually saw a black person in the forest? All right. The funny thing is that they're fucking terrified. Like, why is there a black guy in the forest? Cool, but now I'm that racist guy. I'm playing that racist character. And again, people can't differentiate acting from reality.
Very true.
Now I'm that racist guy running from a black guy in the forest. They're going to be like, oof. All right, how do I save that? Sway, I need you to not realize you're the black guy and you're terrified and running away too. Now the joke's fine.
Gotcha.
So that's why like all those layers of like, you're expecting this, decoy. I don't want to be racist now. So then I'm running there. I go, there's a black guy in the forest and I'm running. And then he comes in frame going, oh my God.
Yeah,
not realizing he's the black guy.
Yeah.
Now it's it's still funny and it's on the line.
Yeah.
But it's not, I'm being the racist white guy, which I am in this character, but I need to also save my reputation in the joke.
I see what
because
you're saying.
like I said, people can't differentiate. Logan Paul said that. He's like, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, Schwarz an N-word. You never play a bad character 2 movies in a row.
Oh, I see.
Because if you do, now people don't like you as an actor. Whereas you have to be the good guy. Like you can play. This
What do you think about Logan? Because Logan, I would say, they asked John Jones a question which scared the shit out of me. They were like, "Are you a good guy pretending to be a bad guy, or are you a bad guy pretending to be a good guy?" And John Jones in that interview said, "I'm a bad guy trying to be a good guy." Maybe this is just me looking too deep below the surface. I look at him personally as a bad guy trying to be a good guy. I think a lot of his content comes through. Think about the podcasts that he's had. Like we could talk about a lot of the different podcasts. Do you think he is playing into that whole George, like that attack on George's character or the fight with his brother? Like, do you think that's him playing a bad guy?
I just think it's him. Like, how many times have you had arguments with your friends? They just happen to be on camera. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, those moments where Logan said some shit to George, it's like, I remember hearing someone, I'm like,
yeah.
But I've also had those conversations with loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I've said so many things to my wife where if that was on a podcast, I'd be like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time.
But where's the line then?
But see, that's the thing. So, but also like him and Jake, for example, had arguments about Prime not being at Jake's, like he couldn't bring his Prime bottle. And like, you know, they were having those arguments and discourse on camera. And then after that, because of the backlash, they were like, why do we do this? And so I think it's also that they're also figuring out a new landscape that hasn't been touched and they're not afraid to take those risks. Whereas most people are like, oh, like off camera, they're like, fuck these people and this and that. And I'm like, all right, let's tap into this a little bit because oh no. Whereas those guys are not afraid to be like, we're going to show the good, bad, and the ugly. But okay, this ugly, it didn't actually bring us any net positive. George, on the other hand, I think, and just from completely outside, I think, I don't know, did you see George's, Logan's TikTok? That gave me a lot more insight, and I do actually kind of believe Logan more, because the way George acts on camera, I think he wants to be the guy, and you're never going to be the guy when you're around Logan, because Logan is the guy on social media. It's his podcast.
He's the rock of social media.
Exactly. So I don't think Logan's a bad dude. I think he's very, very hungry, very fucking smart. And he takes a shitload of risks. And this is the first time in history where we can see the mistakes. And the Japan thing, dude, I 100% empathize with Logan on that, because you're telling me a kid who is 21 or 21 at the time, who's just made $52 million in his first year on YouTube, and every time he does bigger and crazier shit, he makes more money.
Mm-hmm.
So everything you do that's bigger and crazier gets more money, more attention. You're rewarded as a 21-year-old, dude. If I got half the shit I did as 21 on camera, most 21-year-olds, it's like, yeah, like if they found a dead guy, they would film him too. Now, but then we put this moral compass on someone because he has this attention going, he should know better. It's like, dude, this guy just like, you're paying someone to be a fucking crazy out there person. They're going to become more crazy out there, especially if they're 21. Like, kids do that in college for nothing. Like, just for a couple of high fives from a friend, people fucking jump off a boat in the middle of the Caribbean and die. You know?
So if we zoom out on that conversation, because I think it's a really good, we're on to the right thing. I have this thesis around the creator economy and what's going on. You have the people that are known for what they do, and then you have the people that are known for what they built, and built in terms of companies. So like, I think that the guy behind this that I just think is the biggest genius of them all is Zuck. Because Zuck, whether he knew what he was building or not, created a universe where people can find social credit through creating in his universe, but he's the creator of that universe, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So when I talk to business owners or people like our clients, it's this hard differentiation, because for some people, they have to play into what you do. And like for somebody, you will off camera, we were talking about it, but you would categorize yourself more in the creator lens than through the business lens. I think what's getting muddy is is this side of it required now to build anything outside of it?
Creator, you mean?
Yeah.
100%. Well, the one thing that's not going to be able to be replicated quickly by AI, and it will be eventually, is storytelling. So everyone's like, oh, AI. AI right now is just automation. They've just rebranded it. Like this camera swapping app, whatever it's fucking called.
Opus.
Nah, not that one. It's a different one, Autopilot or something like that.
Autopod.
The Autopod.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, it's AI. I'm like, no, it's not. I have to input where the mic, what mic and what camera relates, and then whenever the audio peaks, it cuts to that camera. That's not AI. That's automation. Mm-hmm. Opus is getting closer, but still, it lacks storytelling. It can cut clips. It can do all that shit, but because I mean, we're always researching this stuff, and I'm like, but they still suck. You know? So the one thing that I think is going to take a little bit longer for them to figure out, and they will, and we'll be screwed, is storytelling. Because storytelling is so unique to the human brain, to our knowledge, not as another conscious being can do it. Storytelling, they've done studies with the human brain, and they say that you can have a group of people in a room watching a movie, say. Now, these are people with uncountable different viewpoints on life, different influences, different whatever it is, but based on different spikes in story. If it's someone crying because you've had this build up of their relationship with their wife and then she gets hit by a car, and then the husband breaks down. The same part in every single person in that audience, the same part of their brain highlights. Because that's the one thing that we can attach ourselves to. That's why emotional buying is more 70% versus logical buying, which is like 12 or something like that. Like it's tiny. But it's something that you have to learn. And I don't know if you can categorize it down a little bit. And it's like that but therefore story method. Like I went down the stairs, but my shoelaces were untied. Therefore I tripped. That's more interesting than I went to the stairs and my shoelaces were untied and I tripped. That's boring. It's so fucking small. A but versus an and changes everything.
Yeah.
But I think that creator style, that's the thing that's going to last the longest is the ability to tell stories. A longer arc is going to be harder to replicate. So like Logan Paul again, the story of Prime with him reaching out to KSI, he talks about it. He goes, that's going to make an awesome story. That KSI revitalized and revived my career with calling me out for the boxing, but I made him a billionaire. So foes came together to create a big business. That's a story. There's always, and like The Rock always has stories behind everything. There's this, there's that, but there's that component which is super important. I think business owners miss, and it's also way more expensive to produce. The other thing too is, and like they're talking about AI influencers. I don't think AI influencers will effectively replace real life influencers, because the reason that we end up liking people or wanting to be them or wanting to be their friends is because of that very thing. Is like, I want that person's life. Like even movie stars, we didn't want to be in the movies. We wanted to be idolized. We wanted to be like Brad Pitt. I wanted to be idolized. When I walk in the room, women fucking swoon. I want to be that cool guy. I want to be his friend because then people think I'm cool. I wanted to be him. If you have an AI influencer and you know that their life isn't real, I can't as a human get an emotional attachment to them. And therefore, I don't think they're going to have value long term. You can create interesting shit short term, but I don't think you're actually going to get influence from AI influencers, because I never want to be them, because it's impossible. You don't exist. And I know that.
I see AI influencers killing one industry within the creator economy, and that's UGC. Because I think UGC is, what UGC used to be is like anybody could do it. Like creators could go out, but it was basically brands needed the content that looked like it was generated by a real person. And the problem with that is human error. Humans are lazy. Like we're inherently lazy. So like a business owner is putting all this money towards UGC, which I think is pretty much the bottom 95% of brand deals is like just another form of UGC, because most people aren't buying. It's just a way for them to establish more brand. But you see these, like I worked on the brand side, and brands will get on the call and they're like, this is mind numbing, because like we're not getting any results. We're having to pay thousands of dollars. And then the content that they're creating sucks. Yeah. So I see AI influencers taking over the UGC world, but like anything.
But if people know it's fake, it has to be so real that people can,
we're on our way from that perspective. And I think if you're able to, I don't think you can deep fake it, but I think you can create content that looks like somebody else to a certain extent. Like thinking about ads, which is where UGC kind of lives and breathes. It's like through ad content. Like,
yeah, no one else gives a shit. I'm not going to scroll and watch some Betsy open up her shoebox.
But if that's the 7th touch out of the 9 that you need to get that conversion. Yeah. And instead of having to pay $5,000 for that, I can pay 5 cents for that. Like that's where I start to see at least that world. But pivoting topics, where do you see podcasts fitting into this whole changing of the creator universe?
I think it comes back to the original point is we listen to podcasts for two reasons. Either it's I genuinely want to learn Huberman, which fuck me, I can't get through a podcast. Super smart guy, but I'm like, I've never gotten through a 2-hour podcast. Or I want to, humans are lonelier than we've ever been to my knowledge. It's super easy. The second I get bored, like how many times you've had a conversation with someone and it's like, there's a lull for like 3 seconds, phone comes out. Conversation, gone. The thing with podcasts, and I find myself guilty of this, I listen to Shane Gillis and Matt McCusker, Flagrant, Rogan, depending on who he's got on it. Because for me, I'm mentally having a conversation with my friends. These guys don't even fucking know I exist. But in my brain, my brain can't differentiate because I've heard so many hours of them. I think they're my friends. And people are going to be like, oh, it's so stupid. I guarantee if you're listening to a podcast, you're fucking thinking the same thing. Because I think that's where...
example of that, I have friends that I've been friends with for years that I'm not in contact with as much anymore. They're watching these podcasts as a way of like
human connecting. Yeah. And I think that's where it's going. There's only two ways. It has to be, you have to create, and the information is a quick grab. T-Clinics work great with that stuff. Now it's like you need to create, and this is the long-term one, which is like you're talking fucking 2-3 years before people give a shit about you, and a uphill battle of I want to be your friend or in your friend group. The ones that have broken the mold were ninjas or butterflies or something. But again, they have a group of 4. It's a group of friends. So the sad thing is it's like you need to create your own group of friends, which is hard to replicate. It takes time. So many people try and create it. Like they'll get 2 celebrities or 3 celebrities and be like, yeah, let's do it. And they're like, but then you got, some random kids in New York who shoot the shit, low production, and people want to listen.
That I have this weird feeling, at least what we see from our end, people, exactly what you're talking about, that whole universe thing does not just apply in like content creation basics. It also heavily is included in what we do, like podcasting. Yeah. Like you need to create a universe because most people, unless your guests are A1, Joe Rogan is a great example of that. Joe Rogan is a byproduct of not only just his name, but also the guests. Like he brings on the most interesting guest in the world that you can listen to, or the funniest, or whatever it ends up being. That makes sense. But he still does protect our parks. Yeah. He still does.
And that's the most successful one that he does. And it's 4 dudes, 4 friends that you wish you were there with them. Like, that's the thing now is like, finding people who have a friend group is rare. And that's normal because like, yeah, life gets away with you. Like, so the idea of being like, holy crap, like I'm 36. The idea of having 3 friends that I shoot the shit with is so enticing. It's exciting, but it's so hard to keep, like especially like when kids get involved. I mean, look, most fucking parents I meet, I'm like, holy shit, you're boring. And it's like, there's this weird thing. And I think especially if you're thinking about building brands in the next 5 to 10 years, cool, connecting with a 45-year-old, great. But now they're 50. Are they going to be on the same track? That's why when you look at people that have longevity, like the Logan Pauls, the Jake Pauls, they have an audience that they established 8 years ago that were late teens. Now they're mid-20s. They don't still do their cringy shit. They did cringe stuff to get the young kids. That again, bear in mind, they're only 4 years younger than. I'm like, they were 20 when they were doing these videos. But now their content has aged up into fit a void, which was Friends. And I think that's where it's going to be that's why comedy podcasts are the biggest ones right now, because they do the shooting the shit. They're fun to listen to. They say wild stories that you wish you could say with your like half the stuff that comes out of my mouth. I watch people go like, oh, and I'm like, really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, we're in private and you still like your bum puckers up over like a small thing. That's why it's like people are just longing for that I think that's, in my opinion, the only way you can go.
I think you're onto something though with the whole idea of like, since COVID, the access to, I love podcasting. Like I could never make a single dime from podcasting. I could never, like, this show could be what this show is for the next 5 years and I still will do it because I get to sit with people with the phone is off and I get to have a genuine conversation. Some people are actors on camera, whatever, like I can't affect that. But like in a lot of cases, I get such a depth of communication that it's really, really hard to get it anywhere else.
Yeah.
And so when you create that and then you have a dynamic of a friend group, like everybody has made the indication of like, you're shooting the shit with your friends and you're like, bro, we should make a podcast. If some people, like I used to say that with Jace all the time. I used to be like, bro, if we started a podcast, it would be huge. It'd be huge. But if some people actually leaned into that had the interesting dynamic and they could actually maintain that friendship, maintain that like cohesiveness in terms of the group of people. Like that's the one thing I look at with Impulsive. Impulsive was one of my favorite podcasts. Why was that? Because Mike and Logan, whether they loved each other that podcast or hated each other that podcast, they had that dynamic.
Yeah.
That they knew each other.
Yeah.
Like deeply knew each other.
And that took years though. And I think, but that's the rarity is that Mike stuck with Logan and vice versa, even through shit. Flagrant's the same. That is a rare thing these days.
It is.
Things get a bit tough and people go like, I'm out. And it's just like, what kind of, but then those are the same people that are like, everyone's a flake. It's like, bro, the second, like my friend Sway, I met him at Ryan McGinn's event in January. We shot the shit for a day and then we're talking about just creating videos. He drives down from St. Pete. So that's like a 2.5 hour drive every second Sunday.
Wow.
To hang. And like obviously I can't do that as easily, being the family, but we come down and it's still like it's productive. Like we film 30 Draco Vines, probably 1 or 2 actual videos like in a day. But so it's still productive, but it's like we're building that friendship while doing shit. And I think the tricky thing with being an adult is you can only it's the only way that you can really build a friendship these days is if you're doing something proactively together. And that's the thing that's very hard. I've had so many people, they love sharing 50% of nothing when there's no effort, but then when they're doing a bunch of effort and eventually, a couple months in, they're like, this isn't working. And I'm like, have you ever started a business before?
Yeah. You're so right.
And it's like, dude, like it takes fucking at least in most cases, if you're just starting something out, it's going to take a while to get it rolling. And it's like, but then you look at successful people and you're like, oh, they're so successful. And you're like, yeah, they were 5 years in before they actually broke even.
I never heard it explained like that, but that was my inclination when I had Jace and I had Ryan and I had these people in my life. I was so tight with them throughout college that like I knew inherently, I didn't ever speak it out loud, but I knew that if that trajectory, once college was gone, there was going to be this, unless you created.
You have to.
Unless you create something that like, hey, we're in this together through thick and thin, that's where, our friendship in a lot of ways will withstand a lot of bullshit because we've made, and you actually hear this with married couples. It's like something about the divorce rate is like 50 to 60% without making money together. But the second you make $1 together, it goes to like divorce rate is like 10% or something like that, which is wild.
I believe that because like, I mean, I've always said this to Stace. Like I'll go to the gym. I have a couple of female friends there and they're fucking smoking. I'll tell Stace, I'm like, yeah, she's fucking hot.
Yeah.
And I go, but do you really think I'm going to give up like 50% of my worth, my children, you, for like a minute and a half of a violent cuddle. Like I'm like
awesome.
just mathematically, and I go to I'm like I'm blatantly honest to her, like in terms of like it, because I have look the first day that we met, I was telling her about a sex party orgy that I went to the night before, so like she knew the cat was out the bag already. So I'm like, and she's also very open to like all that, like in terms of like, all right, that was you, this is you now. And that's why I said to her, I'm like, people that get jealous about the fact that their partner slept with someone 5 years ago, I'm like, I didn't know you existed. Like, get your ego out. Like, you fucked other people. I just happen to do a lot more than her. Like, and so I've always done that where I'm like, it's just so much easier to be blatantly honest and then figure it out versus, oh, no, baby, no. Because now, one, I'm fucking lying to you. Two, it's like, I'd rather just figure this shit out together. Like, there was one time where she came across a girl's Instagram page and like, bro, fuck Zuckerberg. I know you like him, but that dude is trying to break relationships up.
Who?
Zuckerberg.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah,
the second you like a girl's photo, it's on your Mrs. Explore page. Fucking in a
Isn't
second.
that crazy?
It's
and it'll
weird.
show that you like
Not
it.
any of my friends. It just goes on. They're like, that's his wife. So there was one girl I was following, and it's an influencer that has like 8 million subscribers, followers that I'm never going to meet. And I've liked her last 10 photos. So obviously Stacey comes across that and she's like, oh my God, like he's obsessed with her. And I go, who? And she's like, insert name. And I'm like, oh yeah, she's hot. And she goes, but you think about her all the time. I'm like, you've liked all her photos. I'm like, Stace, if I go to the gym and I see insert name, every fucking time I see her at the gym, I go, damn. Then I leave. Say that's across a 10-week span. Once a week, I see this girl and I'm like, and I leave. That is the heart like.
Yeah.
You don't care about that. But what happens is if you saw those 10 moments and squished them together, so it's me going, play that back.
Yeah.
It looks like I'm obsessed with her.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you're seeing those micro moments collected. And now you're going, in that moment, holy shit, is obsessed with her. And I'm like, I haven't thought of that chick.
Wow.
You know?
Smart.
But again, most of the time people, and it's not, I think it's more because I'm like, I want to figure out the thing, which kind of pisses people off a lot. But I'm like, I'd rather figure it out. Why am I liking this chick's photos? How's this digital world, how does that correlate to real life? Why is it in real life you're not pissed off at me, but here you are? And then once I broke it down, I was like, oh shit, like you're just seeing micro thoughts in a clumped up, grouped area. And in your brain, this is the outcome versus if I just across 10 weeks told you, oh, that chick was in again. Whereas most guys don't want to do that. And they go, no. Now you're lying to her. Now you're saying like, no, I don't find her hot. Bullshit.
Yeah. It's like,
That chick is built like a goddess. Like a bullshit, you don't find her attractive.
Yeah.
Like, so...
It's fucking crazy though. That again, another thing, I hadn't heard it compiled like that, but that is the truth. And it will, I would bet if we did a poll of arguments with significant others in this day and age,
probably all that.
It's probably a lot.
And I said to her, I go, Stace, do you get mad at me when I watch a 1 minute skateboarding video? I go, the ratio of me double tapping a thong with a great booty inside of it versus I watched that. I go, like, you watch the thumbs and we're like, swipe, like,
Yeah.
we don't even think. It's literally like a micro zap to our penis and we just show the world.
Yeah. So,
And then I'll sit and I'll watch a skateboarding video, give it the same double tap. That doesn't piss you off, but I'm like, the ratio is this to this. And if we're in public and you saw her, you and I would both go, like Stacey and I would both go together. And I go, so like, but again, it's like, I don't shy away from that. When most people think, oh, you're combative. I'm like, no, I'm trying to figure this shit out. And I'm also like, I'm not going to pretend I'm fucking some saint. Oh, I'll never look at a girl, baby. Bullshit. You look at other guys and that's cool. But guess what?
We're still here.
Yeah. So that's one thing with social media that cracks me up, where it's like, I swear Zuckerberg is trying to increase the divorce rate.
If you want to go down a rabbit hole,
He's like, you know what? Well, fuck it, let's do it.
I think when you create something with, I don't know this for sure, but when you create something like that, where you are basically building, like there's this discussion of we've never had the access to as many channels as we have. Like, go back to the 1950s, ABC, NBC, this channel, that channel, and that was it. And that was the only form of consumption.
Which is also dangerous.
Very dangerous. We live in the same world. We just have we have more people in a deeper universe within it. Yeah. Instagram is this. It is ABC. It's just your catalog of content is, and like, it feels like it's
it also tells your friends what you're thinking because of that subtitle, like recommended thing. Like, could you imagine if you watched ABC and then all of a sudden it popped up on your friend's television just randomly and it was like, hey, Blake liked this episode. It's the exact same thing.
Yep.
Where, you know, because I'm guaranteed to, like, there's like 3 or 4 people, my wife's one of them, where they will send me shit that I've already seen in the last 24 hours. Like, most of the time I'm just now saying like, saw us yesterday. Because I don't even have to like it. It's just that I might have sent it to Alex, but then Stacy sees it and sends it to me. So it's this weird intertwining thing. And I don't think it's malicious. Like, everyone, you know, everything is done for a reason. Fuck off. I think it's just more that, all right, we know that Blake interacts with these accounts. Therefore, if we give them that content, it will keep them engaged with one another and it'll keep them on the platform. I don't think it's malicious. I make jokes that I think he's trying to get me divorced, but I think it's just more that because Stacy is one of the people I send the most shit to, and vice versa. If I like a photo and it happens to have some boobies or booties in it, it's going to show her that, because it's like, well, he likes this. She might too. Problem is she does. Then she gets angry at me.
Yeah. But that's a really good point. I think when you're operating, like the TV companies back in the day, what was their number one goal?
Viewership.
As much viewership as humanly possible. That game hasn't changed. Nah. We still have the same North Star. We just have a much, if you think about it, like if you play, there's this very deep conspiracy that we live in a simulation created by this greater
the Matrix.
Like what? But it was basically this idea of they wanted to create entertainment for themselves. So by creating entertainment for themselves, they gave everybody their individual lives that they get to live.
Is that Billy Carson's one?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think Billy Carson, that is a deep rabbit hole if you ever want to go down that.
Yeah, that's a lot of rabbit holes.
There's a lot.
I like a lot of it, but I mean, also it's like, fuck, how much do you get attached to it too?
People become, they make it their identity.
It's fact.
Yeah.
It's a religion.
Like anything now.
Fun fact, you know the Matrix is literally the Bible?
Yeah.
It's literally just, they've rewritten the Bible. Because like, it's like they find the savior around like through an evil world. This savior comes out and he starts performing miracles, but it's not until he dies that everyone believes. I'm like, holy shit, Neo's Jesus.
Yeah. Exactly. It's funny how those storylines, going back to your point, what is the number one thing that we can do as humans? Create story. Yeah. And there are some stories, because if you look at the Gilgamesh or whatever it is, it's very similar stories to the Bible, which is similar stories to it's the Quran. It's like there's these similar storylines throughout all of it. But the point of where I was going with that was, I think we've just built a much better version of TV to where we go, oh, people, like you said, are inherently more interesting than we give them credit for. Let's just give everybody the opportunity to create, and that in and of itself, giving a wider pool of content to consume and a more customized way of delivering it is going to increase the likelihood of increased viewership.
Yeah. And I think, like, back to our original stuff about creating videos to build an audience, people want to be able to view your life or what they perceive your life is where it's going to be important though is again coming down to storytelling. Just like, because if just filming you, like live streamers, for example, they stream everything and then the clips are what ends up becoming whatever. But the clips themselves have stories to them. That I think that's where it needs to, it will be going. I need water. It will be going that way. And it already is starting to show that. Like you look at TikTok, the stuff that performs better is more lower quality. If it's too lower quality or it feels like it's
user generated.
Yeah. And
I have this theory that people, the second they feel like somebody else is behind the account that isn't another, it's not them, they lose the connection to the actual character.
Yeah.
And that's why when you're in a seat like ours, what I try to make sure people understand is like, just because we're going to post content for you does not mean we are your social platform. Because if you take away your socialization on this platform, people are just going to think that you're a AI figure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Legitimately. Like, and that's where people will lose that, like, people will disconnect with those people at the end of the day.
Yeah. And that's like, I mean, part of the thing I tell most of my clients when I start up with them, I'm like, just so you know, I'm turning up with this and it's deliberately going to be poor-ish quality. And they're like, well, you know what you're doing. But I'm like, if it's a shot on anything outside of a podcast that is shot on an A7, Sony A7 or whatever it is. From
a views perspective.
It's just shit. Because the second people think they're getting marketed to, they're like, I'm out. And
we're really good at training that.
Oh, we are. We're all like that. I mean, billboards used to work. And then people were like, fuck, I don't want to be sold. Like humans don't want to be aware they're being sold. That's why
they want to be lulled, baby.
Yeah. That's why if you're a big influencer, it's more powerful because it's like, yeah, hey, here's this product. And if it's your product, it's even more beneficial. And that's the thing I'm trying to roll in at the moment because I think there's more money to be made in selling your own product or being part of a product because you can post more of it versus just like, hey guys, I really like Starbucks.
And selling your goodwill.
Yeah.
Because imagine me and you were friends. And every time I saw you, I was like, by the way, before you leave, buy my shit.
Yeah.
But it was a new thing every single day.
If it's a new thing. And I remember Instagram went through like an influencer cull in probably like 2018.
Firefest, baby.
Well, there was that.
Yeah.
But there was a moment where it was like the gold rush for all the IG influencers, and every post was a different product. I just love this protein powder. Tomorrow, I love this protein powder. It's like, what do you fucking cycle them? And those influencers just disappeared because there was no trust.
Yeah.
Because it's like every day I was getting sold something differently where I'm just like, oh, you're just trying to make money versus the ones that are like, you know, the Logan Pauls, the Jake Pauls. Yes, they had sponsored posts in their stuff, but that was part of a long form. It's very different when you chuck an ad in the middle of a 12-minute video as opposed to a photo.
It's so true. I think
because I've entertained you for 12 minutes and now I'm selling to you for 30 seconds. I'll put up with that. Or Logan Paul was the best one at it. He would just say loganpaul.com/shop every fucking, like say it 4 or 5 times in a video. I watch his videos still. I literally watched one 2 weeks ago, him in Venice. Because the way he plugs his own brand of Maverick clothing is hilarious. He's getting told off by a security guard. And the security guard's yelling at him in Italian. And he's like, loganpaul.com/shop. And then it's like, blah, 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 loganpaul.com/shop. Like, he's just saying it. You're like, you're literally just plugging your stuff the whole time, but you're making me laugh. And so I don't care.
Yeah.
And I think he's the best marketer out there because you always see him with a Prime bottle in his hand. It's everywhere where people roll their eyes, but the impressions he gets, if you like, put it in perspective, you have to get, for you to do an ad on the Super Bowl, averages $7 million. And they go, that's 100 million eyeballs. Yeah, if they're watching the commercials. You got then Logan Paul just holding a Prime bottle at every event he goes to. You're getting that 100 million views on average every day. That's $7 million a day in marketing that they're getting for free because he has ownership of it. Like, you can't rival that. And that's why they're blowing up right now, is because all the money they're saving on not having to spend money, they plug it into just broader marketing where it's like Arsenal, UFC, which I think he sold some section of Prime to TKO. That's my theory.
That's
because
a good theory.
TKO own the marketing of UFC and WWE. And so this is why I like the business part of it. All of a sudden, Logan Paul's in WWE. Then
that was a genius.
So that's why I think TKO owns a section of Prime, because then all of a sudden he signs with Dana White and it's on the canvas at UFC, also owned by TKO. Then in a historical moment, the first ever marketing on the WWE canvas in WWE history is a Prime bottle. You're not doing that unless you own a chunk. Then the other part of the marketing, which I love, which I think The Rock's in on it now, because The Rock is he's in the board of directors for TKO. So he makes a comeback to WWE. So all of a sudden, more people care about WWE again. Then now he's bringing out a movie where he's an MMA fighter, markets UFC. Then in another movie that's coming out called Red One this Christmas, there is a big fight scene with the boss, and it's even in the commercial where they're slap fighting, also owned by TKO. Everything is like marketed, but it's marketed through entertainment. And I think that's where the people are making a fuckload of money.
Yeah.
And where your average business owners, they're going to struggle unless they figure it out and just let you go, okay, I'm going to hire some people who are more creative and out there to create an environment or an atmosphere or universe around our brand, and just give them some percentages, because you're going to get way more fucking eyeballs than we can ever do by just being like, here's what's great about our product or our service. And then you see that with just like all these businesses, like I've said, that's where the money is you market through entertainment. And I think the entertainers are going to have chunks of ownership in that brand for it to be worth it. Because again, I know people that average about 1 million to 2 million views for a short, and they get paid $15,000 to $30,000 for just that video. Imagine if you're trying to market the equivalent of what a Logan Paul can do or The Rock can do. You can't. Like, 45 seconds is 30 grand. Cool. Now you want to do that, the equivalent of a daily thing. All right. Now you're paying this influencer fucking, what is that? Like 30 million a year. So I think it's cheaper to give them ownership.
It's we're getting to a point where I believe mass marketing from you got to have a pretty shit product to make mass marketing work. Or you have to have some insane margins to make mass marketing work from a pay per eyeball perspective, or your campaign just has to crush. Like Jim Shark is doing a campaign. It's called Just Jim, and they're doing billboards. But their creative is so dialed that it actually gets your attention.
Yeah.
So it's like you can still do these traditional forms of media, but if you're not playing by the game of where we are now, which is like attention, you're going to lose.
It needs to be quick too. So Ryan Reynolds has done that really well. He does fast marketing, but Coors Light did an amazing ad campaign. I don't know how long ago it was, but there was a giant Coors billboard or screen billboard at a baseball game, and a famous baseballer hit the ball and smashed one of the squares. And now to pay him, fuck that. We can't do that. That's way too much. So Coors just had this instant marketing campaign where because it was right on the bottle, that on the can on the image had this little square missing. They brought out this line of Coors that had the broken digital square on the actual can. And so what they've done is they don't need to license that baseballers image. Instead, they licensed that known moment where the Coors square was missing on the sign, and now everyone's buying Coors Light but thinking about him, and it was this genius marketing story because they literally,
Was it Shohei?
I don't know. I'm so out of baseball. I just know there's a ball and a bat and a fucking guy that catches it. But yeah, so it's smart marketing like that where it's like they literally got they got the mental image IP of a baseballer who's super famous for zero cost. And so, but that is fast because they turn around for that. They have to be like, all right, there's a moment. How do we capitalize on it? Let's make the bottle. Cool. Bang, turn around. And it has like that sort of marketing has to be done in weeks, maybe days.
Yeah, literally.
You know? Because once that moment's forgotten, no one gives a shit.
No.
To be like, oh yeah, I remember that in December. No, I don't.
No.
But that's like real creatives, but you need to have that looseness, non-corporate bullshit to have. Like the government would never turn something around that quick unless it's for war. Like that's the only stuff they turn around for quick.
Sure.
But yeah, I think the age of marketing now is getting way more creative because of the competition, and it's really cool when you see stuff like that break down.
It is. We could go on for probably hours doing this.
Ooh, I got one more story though.
I want to. Yeah. How can people support you? How can people reach out? How can we do that?
Don't have to support. Just come and get entertained if you want. Blake Draco _ DRAKO. So BLAKE DRAKO _ on Instagram.
He's got some really entertaining
Draco
shit.
Vines, DRAKOVINES is for the short ones. On YouTube, same thing. Blake Draco, Draco Vines. Yeah. Also, one random thing. So, random story about how I came to America, and then I'll wrap this whole shizzy up. So, when I first moved to America, my father-in-law took me to Cracker Barrel. Amazing name, by the way. Never seen a black person in that place. So he gave me this thing to try called grits. And I was like, all right, fuck. I'm expecting it to be like porridge. Like porridge is lovely. It's, you know, you feel warm and fuzzy inside. You feel safe.
Yeah.
And then I tried this prison food and I was like, holy shit. Like, hold on. I'm going to give you you're going to have some grits.
Okay. Thank you.
See, everyone has that reaction.
Yeah, this is.
Everyone goes, oh, fuck. People pay for this. So when I had grits for the first time, obviously the podcast is called Piece of Grit. Your whole thing is about grit. And they gave me one spoon. They knew that they're like, there's no way this guy's sharing this shit with someone else. So I was amazed that like, one, only tough people would eat this shit. Like porridge is for like, you know, the nice comfort people. That this was my introduction to America, that I feel like anyone who can eat this shit, you're a hard person. Like it's prison food, but this is prison food that people pay for. So I just thought it was kind of funny that I was getting on this podcast called Piece of Grit, and like, look at that. I don't know if that camera's going to zoom in on that, but it's the fact that they name it grits. Yeah. I was like, you've really got to grit your teeth to eat it. And I just thought it was kind of funny because this shit, like, I've never met someone like, look what is that, dude? And the fact that this is $2 is proof of inflation. Like this is literally vomit in a fucking bowl, and people are going, I'll pay $2 for it. Like, if you pay $2 for this, you are one hard motherfucker, and you deserve to be hugged by your mother. Like, you need some love. But anyway. God, it tastes like fucking ass, dude. So yeah, if you're someone who eats this, you're a tough mofo. Which I thought it was just appropriate that seeing as we're on Piece of Grit. Just have a piece. I want to see if you can stomach it.
All right. You know what I'll do?
Only a hard man can stomach this, and I'm barely stomaching it. And I'm hard right now.
Yeah. I don't know what you want me to say. That's
fucking
like
trash, huh?
Nothing.
Yeah. Like that's some white trash shit, dude.
Yeah.
And
Oh my God. Well, honestly, thank you for the food.
Oh my God, bro. Fuck.
I owe you one.
Yeah, punch in the dick.
Thank you guys again for watching the Piece of Grit. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe.
Love the taste, bro.
And make sure to eat some grits.
Just grit up.